Well, sir, shall we talk about this ridiculous movie? And I mean that in a good way because, like I said, I didn't absolutely love this movie, but I am very far from disliking it. So,
It's it's an enigma, but not quite a Hellmaster enigma.
yeah, like you're gonna have a lot of questions, but at the same time, a lot of other stuff is kind of self-explanatory, so you're confused as to why you're even confused because you're like everything seems so simple, but yet that doesn't make sense. That one thing. It
I'll I'll just go ahead and get it out of the way. It ripped off Halloween. It ripped off Halloween bad, and it
ripped
wasn't
off a
even
lot of it.
Italian.
I was gonna ask. So we're talking about Sorority House Massacre. Which now, what year did this come out?
Oh shit. I think it was early '80s or mid.
Okay, and
Uh,
Halloween was late 70s, right?
'78. This was 1986, so there was a good
86.
eight
Yeah.
years.
Oh shit. Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
So yeah, they had plenty of time because this was this is very poor man's Halloween, but I'm gonna give credit when credit's due because I didn't like or I didn't dislike the look of this movie. It wasn't a bad looking movie. Like people like they're like, all right, what do we have at our disposal? What can we use? They used it efficiently. My only complaint was is like, like the kind of kills that they did. The kills looked good. The guy with the pickaxe just sitting on the chair in the flashbacks, that looked really good. I'm like, why wasn't there more of this? It's supposed to be a massacre.
I think that's because I think it's because the budget of the movie's not listed, which means it wasn't very much.
Yeah. And it was as we say, a cool, crisp 74 minutes.
Yeah, I actually because I'm trying to find there's a Roger Corman connection with this because this and Slumber Party Massacre are part of the so-called Massacre collection, which take place in
Mm.
the same realm. Um, but all of them are under 80 minutes.
I mean, what are you gonna
And
do? You're just like, oh, like if anything, I could probably edit this movie down even more, and it would still be good.
you could put that at about a crisp hour, and you'd be you'd still get a
45.
movie.
I bet you could get it done in 45. I'm willing to do limbo on this.
Well,
How low can you go? And I'm saying 45. Easy.
you you probably could because of who took over the franchise after Carol Smith did this one. Jim Wynorski, whose name may sound familiar, he's the guy that did Chopping Mall, 77 minutes. But you may also remember him if you had Cinemax in the 90s and 2000s. He's the director of The Witches of Brestwick, and those
Hmm.
parodies as well. So there's one thing this guy loves: nudity and, well, two things: nudity and violence, and he managed to combine them all
And
together.
honestly, compared to some of the other things we've seen, I'm not saying that those two elements are absent from the movie, but they are not. Like, I just based off the title and the cover of the movie, I was expecting full on sleaze fest. Not really at all that.
And,
Like when the extent everything else is par for course for a horror movie. I think the only the close sleaze that you get is the trying on let's try on some clothes and they got the QVC music playing. That
that's
was
because
you know how everybody's always for their streams and stuff. I got to find that copyright free music. That's all they had back then was QVC music to use.
and granted, Jim Wynorski didn't direct this one because I've heard that the sequel, according to Red Letter's latest Best of the Worst, they mentioned that if you're going to make a movie for Cinemax to cash in on slashers, it's going to be a certain thing, and that's exactly what Slumber Party Massacre or Sorority House Massacre 2 is. So we didn't watch that one, and I got it confused with this one. So when I wrote the write up that we were watching it, and I said we were all going to get bonked to horny jail. I'm getting bonked to dumbass jail because I got the two movies mixed up. So
No,
this one was directed by Carol Smith, if I recall correctly from the Roger Corman documentary. She was a feminist who did the movie like Slumber Party Massacre. So, wow.
what I'm only because you brought it up, but I don't know if it was the same best of the worst or not, but it was like one of the more recent videos that they did, and they had a moment where they were talking about a movie called Evil Tunes
Yes, it was
with
that
the
one.
card. Yeah, I had the weirdest trip down memory lane the second that that popped up because I remember being a wee lad and I saw that movie on TV one night, one time and one time only. And all I could remember was I'm like, there was a cartoon werewolf. That's all I remember is like there was naked chicks and a cartoon werewolf. That's all I remembered. And for some reason I was thinking it had something to do with Cool World, even though I knew that I was wrong. I felt like that somehow it was in that Brad Pitt movie. I think that was Brad Pitt, right?
It was Brad Pitt, yeah.
Um
Fun movie.
but
Difficult game.
but they started talking about it and then it just all flooded back the memories. I'm like, holy shit, it's that movie.
It's
One of
it's
those
amazing
moments.
when something like that happens, isn't it? I,
Um,
mm,
but when it comes to this, I want to make sure I'm understanding. I mean, there's a lot of weird flashbacks and mental gymnastics that the characters are going through in this story. But if we're cutting all that out and we're getting down to brass tacks, now was this house when the original event happened? Not the shit that we see in the movie, but in the very beginning of the movie, the shit that we see. The house was still a sorority, right?
yes,
Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
I think
Uh,
so.
because
But I had trouble following
at
too.
first I was almost kind of confused. And I'm like, did was this an asylum first, and then they turned it into a sorority, and somehow this guy's cement his room is cemented into the sorority house? Because they know they do some weird cutting where you're like, is this supposed to be the same place?
I I feel like, and maybe it's a typo, but the movie's listed at 76 minutes. Ours was 74, and there were some very abrupt cuts, and I'm not just referring to the ending where the movie just kind of
Ends.
stops. Uh, so it makes me wonder if we didn't get to see. Maybe we saw the uncensored version, but not the uncut version. Like there's something that was trimmed for runtime, and I'm like, why would you trim something under 80 minutes for runtime? It's already below the Mendoza line for how long a movie normally is.
So homeboy goes crazy and kills people in a sorority house, but somehow there's a little girl there, or she shows up and she kind of sees some shit that goes down, or she sees the killer, or the killer sees her. And then later on when she's grown up and looking to join the sorority herself, uh like she's having weird flashbacks, and then dude's coming back for her, kind of like a la Michael Myers style, right? That's essentially what we're
It
getting at.
it's Halloween 5 before
Okay.
Halloween 5.
All right. That's what I thought. Not bad. I mean, it like I said, it's a poor man's Halloween, but I've seen worse. We've seen worse.
We have seen worse, and not to
um,
put a damper on it, but I have been researching Shot on Video Month, and I think we're going to see worse.
I absolutely love. I don't see that's the. I enjoyed. This is one of the few. Normally, I find this a detriment to movies, and it kind of like makes me check out. Like if I get halfway into a movie and I still can't tell you 90 to 95% of the characters' names, I'm checking out. Like I'm just watching moving pictures at that point. Um But this is one of the rare occasions where, again, I probably couldn't tell you anybody's name, but I'm like, I know I'm with you the whole time in the movie, so I'm like, no, I did not check out. But the main girl, the one who you know saw all the shit when she was little,
Beth.
uh, Beth, that's right, yeah, because she's like, no, my middle name is this, that's right. um, I like that she's rocking that 80s early Courtney Cox kind of like haircut where it's like at a glance you're like, is that a haircut or is that like a Huffy bike helmet? The only way you can tell it's actually a haircut is the part kind of of the hair.
At least she didn't go Scream 3 where it looked like she got hit in the head with a lawnmower blade.
Yeah.
The bangs.
I think she was trying to do various Jamie Lee Curtis phase haircuts, but and I'm not talking shit about Courtney Cox because she's done some things that I like. Um, but you're not Jamie Lee Curtis. You're up there. You're not nobody. You're not nobody. But you're not Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee
Even
Curtis
though
can rock whatever hair she wants.
we kind of picked on Jamie Lee for a bit because she disowned her horror roots until Halloween H2O.
Well, I mean, again, like we're gonna go back to the kind of characters that I like, where it was just like she came up from this craft. She's from this, and she's trying to hide from her past, escape her past. But finally, the return of the queen, and she embraced
That
it.
it's we love a redemption story. That this was just in the middle of all of that.
Yeah,
We needed a replacement. It was not who played Beth, but that's okay. Angela O'Neill, I believe is her name.
but no, yeah, I do remember her kind of like not wanting to, or trying to stay away from that stuff. But it is what it is. But no, so I'm confused by like that. I think that's really the only part that fucks me up with the movie is the main character Beth, her constant in and out of like mental hiccups. Where you're like, is this real? Wait, we just watched her show up at a sorority. Why are we watching it again? Because it's like, oh wait, that was not real. This is real. So, um, again, I'm like that's why I'm like, I think you could probably wheedle this down to 45 minutes.
Yeah, that what
You can still have the mental stuff, but there's a lot that you can cut just from that.
do flash cuts of it, jump cuts of the stuff, and don't give us a full scene because when you do that, it's called padding the runtime, and that's exactly what it felt like. Unlike they could have taken a page from a movie that came out 1 year prior called Phenomena, where Jennifer Connelly goes sleepwalking, and the sleepwalking's actually happening. That would kind of change the dynamic, but also with this movie, and I'm guessing with the limited amount of locations they had to shoot at, that probably would have been kind of difficult because I will give them credit for one thing: the entirety of the last bit of the movie takes place in one single geographical area, and that is nice because what was one of the things we had with Slumber Party Massacre was
Well, it's not just that. This has happened at least two or three times where we'll be watching a movie and it's not something that we're consciously always on the lookout for, but sometimes the way a movie presents itself, you can't help but start to wonder like, okay, how is this building actually laid out?
you know what movie we never had that problem with?
Hmm.
American Rickshaw.
And they never had that problem, no.
Never had that problem. Uh, I talked to Chandler about it a lot because we were discussing in the first Halloween when Dr. Loomis finally sees that the car, and it shows on camera, he can see the side of the car very close, but whenever the next shot goes up, he's running like a block or more down the street to get to it. And I think he actually says it's like 3 blocks down. And he doesn't like the shot because he said it makes it look like it's too close. And my argument on it is that it is a bad shot, but you have to establish that the car is in that direction, and when he runs to it, it's that way. When you're editing, your eye doesn't try to pick up on where he's coming from; it automatically, without thinking, does it.
And then it harkens me back to my biggest complaint in that one episode of the Obi-Wan show, where they're just in this sea of darkness and like dirt mounds, and like he exits on the right side of the screen, but then he comes in and it looks like he's coming in from right where he left. Like it's just it if you were looking at it if you had an overhead view, it would make sense, but how they shot it looks like he just went out a door and then just walked right back into it, and he's like supposed to be somewhere else.
Yeah, they're breaking all sorts of rules with that you shouldn't break.
Yeah, yeah. So it's stuff like that. Because like I just said, we never consciously go in like with that on our mind. Like that's not on our checklist of like, okay, well, let's make sure that everything makes sense structurally. Like I mean, well, we do think that, but we're more towards the story, not the actual fucking foundation of a building.
I like how we've seen so many movies now. We've started to become engineering students on.
Yeah, yeah, that shouldn't work. That's not a load bearing wall. No,
no, whole fucking thing is gonna collapse.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think. We didn't really have. The only thing that kind of confused me, but it's not like there are worse examples of this, and this might just be my own error. But I really felt like the whole teepee setup that they had. I felt like that was. I thought that was in the front of the building, but then there were parts where I'm like, it looks like it might have been in the back. I'm not really sure. But I mean,
one
it
shot
was,
looks like it was the alley in between too.
And it's like I must have missed the part when they explained why they needed that. I don't know if it was like a spirit week or anything, but like I said, once I saw that giant statue, I'm like, somebody's getting canceled. Not in today's colleges. No way.
Today, they needed us. I'm gonna be lewd for a moment. They needed a place to fuck in, so they had the TP for the rush week, I guess, and there you go.
Even then, like it.
Even then, like, why? You had a whole house.
Yeah, well, this is true. But I mean, I get it. Like wanting to be in the TP. Like, I mean, that's some stupid shit that I might try and pull. But
same, but
back
still.
then, But even in a Friday the 13th movie where they're just like, like, oh, let's go in the van, or like or the, it seemed sleazier than what actually happened in that TP. Although I don't know if you did or not, and it might have been just me because, like I said, I have personal history with that one scene. But when they were in the teepee and the dude was coming up, and you just see his silhouette, and the way he was holding the knife, it didn't look like he had a knife. It looked like he had a full-on like two-handed weapon. And I'm like, it's the scene from Jason Goes to Hell all over again. Like, did they rip that off from this? Like, I thought she was gonna get impaled through the thing, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is it." but it was just, and I'm like, "Oh, it's just a knife."
Nope, it's just a rip off of Final Chapter now.
Yeah. What was that guy's name? Shit. What was the guy in part 4? That was the mentor of little Tommy Jarvis there. What Tommy would become. The guy that was looking for his sister or whatever.
And that's the scene I'm referring to, too.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He's the one in the basement that goes, "Oh my god, he's killing me!"
Yeah.
God damn. Let me get his name because I need to make fun of him.
I feel like it was Roy or something like. No,
That's the killer in the 5th one.
They did a very similar thing in the 09 movie with some guy looking for his sister and stuff. So it's like I maybe I'm confusing that dude's name. I'm not sure.
Uh, uh Rob Dyer.
Rob. Okay, so instead of a Y, it was a B. Gotcha. Close. Because I just watched that not too long ago again because I put in the Blu-ray that you that you got in that collection there, and you like I said, you were absolutely right. It was like they fucking made that movie look goddamn gorgeous.
Very cleaned up.
Yeah, and like I think I even mentioned it maybe on the last show. I'm not sure, but that was I watched it with the wife, and I think I've shown her. I'm pretty sure I've shown her that one before, but it was very nice to say. It's like, hey, anytime me and Gabe refer to somebody on the show as a Ted, that's why. And she was like,
The Ted.
oh, okay, that makes sense. Was
You
that it,
can
by the
dance.
way? We were trying to remember one. Is that it? A Ted? Because we came up with another, like a sparrow stunt and a rickshaw. We were trying to remember it. We're like, we'll have to go back in the chat to remember what it was. Was that it? A Ted?
What was the context of it? A
Just
Ted
any,
is basically any idiot that is in a
just
situation that they should not be in,
just
kind of deal.
a try hard with the ladies.
Yeah, I think we did use that. Although that would be a Teddy, I think,
Hmm.
because or wait, no, I just got dead fuck confused with Ted. Yes,
Oh
that
yeah.
is it. That is
Yeah.
100% it.
Okay,
It's a
yeah.
Ted or a
Because
Teddy.
I
Yeah.
feel like it was when we were watching The Blob, and it was the guy doing the Cosby shit with the drinks in the trunk, and I'm like, that's such a Ted move.
Yep. I've got to remember to put up where we can have a place for all of these things that we can break out. But yes, that is a Ted.
Nice. Um, did they oddly enough, like I said, the two main draws I noticed from this movie was Beth's bicycle helmet haircut and then the killer's haircut, which I said anybody you ever see in a horror movie that's got that type of a haircut, they ain't up to no good. They're doing some bad shit. All right. That's like Son of Sam hair right there.
It's uh Killer and Final Exam. No Country for Old Douchebags. Yep, got him too.
But did they give him a name? Or is he
Yes.
just like dude in jumpsuit with no mask?
He did have a name, and he was Bobby Hinkle.
Oh, no. I feel like Hinkle or something like I'm trying to who's the guy that shot fucking who tried to kill Reagan? He fucked up. And then he was like or was it the guy and I think he was like after Jodie Foster because like a dog told him or something. I
Oh,
watch
the
way
dog
too
told him was Son of Sam.
yeah, I watch way too much shit and I'm getting all these killers mixed up. One of these
Hinkley,
days Hinkle
John
okay,
Hinckley Jr.
there we go. Okay.
So Hinckley with an E versus Hinckley Jr. with an I. That's horrifying.
Okay. All right. All right. Maybe I'm onto something. Maybe I'm onto something.
If your name has the sound Hink in it, you may try to kill a sorority or a president. For legal reasons, this is a joke.
Uh,
It's a big
uh,
joke.
I love if we're going back to our Halloween comparisons. Uh, it's not in every Halloween movie, but it's in enough of them to where it's a thing. There's always that moment where like, I know they do this shot in other locations, but there's always the moment where Michael gets the mask back again in the movie, like, before he starts really going after people. And there's enough of those shots where it's been left behind in the house somewhere, and he's like, it's in the floor somewhere. Um, they tried to do that, but instead of a mask, it was a knife.
A knife.
A knife. And that 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 gave way to one of the biggest head slap moments, where apparently, I guess this dude, when he initially did his OG crime many many years ago, Uh, he hid his knife under one of the stone slabs of the fireplace and cemented over it, I guess. I don't fucking know. He had enough time to commit the crime and then do a little fucking fireplace work.
That's her brother, by the way. That's Beth's brother.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, then that's another Halloween thing they were trying.
So specifically a Halloween 2 thing. So we've got Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, two of which are after this movie came out. So congratulations, Halloween. You ripped off a $200,000 Roger Corman movie.
um,
Yay.
but later on, they do the whole thing where like, I wonder if the knife is still under there, and they fucking pry up the brick, and this knife that's been under stones, dirt, cement, fireplace soot for at least probably 10 plus years. And it's just like, why is it so dirty? And but there were enough moments, and I'm not going to say it was bad acting, and I'm not even going to say it's bad dialogue written. But for some reason, there were a couple of scenes where I'm just like, I'm getting the impression that maybe, just maybe, these kids aren't college material.
Who forged their transcripts?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Are they friends with Matthew Broderick from War Games?
Didn't expect that reference today,
Yeah.
and here we are.
I always thought it was like, I mean, I understand that she was upset and worried about getting in trouble, but I always thought, I'm like, why are you so mad that he changed your grade, lady? He's
Oh
got
shit, Stranger Things.
Oh. But so that fucking took me for a loop. Anyway, that's what I was getting at. So we also established that all of the girls in this situation look like they're future real estate agents of America Club. It's all their wardrobe. Um, and then the dudes show up, and there just happens to be a dude for every girl. Convenient. But I I've seen so many 80s movies, and I kind of just accept it as it was the time. But for some reason, and I'm not going to say that the wardrobes in this movie were atrocious or anything like beyond, like, above and beyond crazy for 80s. Like, this is very basic, generic 80s clothes. But for some reason, I'm watching it when you see all four girls and all four guys just standing there, and you're just like, did they really think that this was cool back then? Like, because even then, even though it was made in the 80s, it feels like I'm like they're playing to nostalgia, to like the moment that they're in. It has to be. Like, they can't possibly be like, I want to look like a fucking trapper keeper.
Well, I I wonder if it was in like that weird transition period that you have like midway through a decade where because I vaguely remember other slasher movies where they would wear future real estate clothes. Even Friday the 13th's guilty of it, I think, too,
Yeah.
in part.
Well, what's her
7?
name? Even I mean, I know the whatchamacallit, shit. The girl who gets pissed off, the nerdy looking girl, and then she puts on the hot clothes, and she's like, "It's my earring."
Part 7, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm like, even with the stuff that she puts like changes into, and I'm like, that, I know that's supposed to be like racy for her character, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could still see elbow pads or shoulder pads, not elbow, probably both. But
You got to protect yourself when you go off the top rope, brother.
yeah. What was that? We always point out those elbow things on the old timey coats.
The professor jacket
Yeah.
things, yeah.
Which, like, again, once I saw those, and I'm like, that, I don't know why that became out of fashion. That's just smart.
You wear the shit out of them when you bend it, and I mean, duh.
But yeah, I can't imagine that at any point that they thought like, no, this is cool. And then just the what was it? I there that whole scene where they're just like they got the QVC music playing, they're trying on the clothes and laughing. Like there used to be this board game that the commercial for it would come on all the time when I was a kid on Nickelodeon. And it was like I think it was called like Girl Talk or something. There was
I
two games.
remember that.
There was like it was like a pretend phone game. Like it had a phone and like you'd have to call the guys for like a date or some stupid shit like that. And it was like that and then there was another one where like it took place in a mall. And it was just like I'm like this is just extended like unused footage from advertisement from those board games. Obviously, you know, at one point the commercial took a hard R-rated turn, but that's why
I
it got cut.
I mean, Halloween got used in a Burger King commercial, so you and people forget that. John Carpenter will advertise how he wants to, damn it. But yeah, God, dude, that just brought me back to watching Nickelodeon in the early '90s. Damn,
Yeah, it just
damn.
I just felt like I'm like these are those kids grown up.
Holy shit, it is.
um now one scene I think the most I guess is the best the tension ever gets in this movie for me anyway was accompanied by one of the most adorable things I've ever fucking seen. But I liked the whole setup where okay, so there's the couple in the teepee and they're going at it. And surprisingly, I was kind of surprised that the girl got killed and the dude escaped. I mean, he ends up meeting his doom later. But in that particular scenario, you would think that you know, if anybody's going to live for another 5 minutes, it would be the girl. I mean, Christ, we're at a sorority. But so they're in the house. The killer has pinned them into an upstairs bedroom, and they got to figure out what the fuck to do. And they have a fire escape ladder. The whole setup on the ladder was the best tense part of the movie, even though he was a fucking noob just camping out at the fucking ladder.
Oh my god, he
Like
should have
those
got
people in
reported.
Dead by Daylight that just hang out at the base area at the end.
Friday the 13th, pretty guilty of that
Yeah.
too. Fuck it.
Um. So, but there's the part though because the dude goes down the ladder first and he fucking gets stabbed. And then the one girl has to race back up the ladder and he's grabbing her legs and it's fucking great. But the adorable part that happens is when she eventually gets back up and she's inside the room, and the only person left on the ladder is the killer. At one point, I don't know if you noticed it, but in his fumbling around with him trying to grab her legs, she did kick the knife out of his hand, and it landed. It fell, but when he's getting to the top of the window, he magically has it again. um, that was
It
kind
was
of
too
cool.
expensive to reshoot.
Right. But that's not the adorable part. The adorable part is when they his hands get to the window sill and they slam the window down and he's like, ah, and then they do the ever slightest polite pounding of the hands. They did it. Everything that they did to this guy's hands on the windowsill was just adorable because they're trying to make it look like they're really trying, but they don't want to hurt this guy. So they're just like they're giving him hand massage. Is what they're doing.
It's the weirdest Home Alone movie I've ever seen.
It's exactly what I was thinking, especially. And then I almost expected them because I'm like they took so much other shit from Halloween. I expected when he fell and landed there to them to do that whole gag where they'd see him there, they'd talk, and then they'd look again, and he would just be gone.
Nah, that'd be too on the. Wait, no, that wouldn't be too on the nose for them because
I
they
mean,
did the
they
damn classroom scene.
No. Well, that and they I mean they kind of did that except like they just didn't cut away. You just saw him get up and he didn't get up Undertaker style either. Like he got up like an old man that fell off of a window.
I want to laugh, but I feel like at this point I'd probably get up about the same.
He was acting if he was a Michael Myers, he was the Michael Myers from Ends.
Fair.
Yeah.
Very fair.
Um now let's see here. What was the one dumb friend? The one part where that was the moment where I realized perhaps maybe they're not college material. It was when the one girl trips over the dead body and that's how she gets killed.
I feel like we face palmed like for the last 20 minutes of the movie.
It literally is everything that you would expect in a B horror movie, except like the few things you expected to be in excess. They actually just used it moderately. Um, but like I said, the gore and the effects and stuff I thought were good. I just don't think they were underused. They just didn't have enough faith, or like you said, probably just not enough money. Um, but I was like, that sucks. It's like for some reason, I really liked how that dude looked with that pickaxe in his gut, just sitting in the chair. For some reason, I was just like, that's fantastic. Like that looks great. I don't know why there isn't more of this. I mean, like it's just him running around with a knife. Not to say that you can't make that look good because that's all really Michael Myers does. But occasionally he uses a garden tool or something. He's not strictly the kitchen utensil guy, but this guy is just he's it's either it's got to be the knife on my belt or the one that I put in the chimney.
Which weirdest fetch quest I've ever seen in a movie, but
Uh, now I don't know if I was misreading this character or not, but it did give me an idea for like a great fucking either series or a movie. Now, occasionally they kept cutting back to this black guy. I think he was like maybe like a detective or something like that, or something, or a doctor. I don't know. But I was just like in my mind, I'm like, that's Black Loomis. And then it started to dawn on me, and I'm like, I want Black Loomis, but I want him to act like Shaft and not give a fuck.
you want Bobby Rhodes.
Yeah,
You could have
I'm,
just said,
I
I want
want
Bobby Rhodes.
I want Bobby Rhodes as Loomis. That's what I want.
You want Bobby Rhodes or Fred Williamson, either one, because, well, no, that's not true. Because each of them bring their own flair to it. So it depends on what you want.
hmm Well, I mean, I, I I want Bobby Rhodes. We need more.
You want
We
Bobby Rhodes, yeah.
need.
Because if I'm gonna go for,
Wait
you
a minute.
know,
If he was Loomis, would that make him PhD PhD?
yeah, we gotta go with him instead of Fred Williamson. But two of our favorite actors. Oddly enough, that we see more of in Italian movies than American movies. I don't understand that for Fred Williamson, but um, they can bring their own flair to the role. And at first, I want to say I would let this movie break the 76 minute rule just to get 20 more minutes of PhD.
No.
I as much as I applaud, I think during the Slumber Party Massacre, I think I basically went, I went ham on. I appreciate the 77-minute movie. I would let this be extended if we got that, because think PhD gym instructor blended with PhD pimp, but with a doctorate. I mean, that's beautiful.
And that trench coat.
And the trench coat, like Fred Williamson, we have a lot of points of reference with From Dusk Till Dawn, Bronx Warriors, Vigilante, and all of that. But he's like, I don't think he ever like crossed over to where he had like a prim and proper job in his movies, except the Starsky and Hutch remake. He was the police captain, but
I just kind of dawned on me. You want to know an unanswerable question?
yes.
Who would win in a fight? Bobby Rhodes in a trench coat or Tony Todd in a trench coat? You can't answer that question. Or if you could, it's something that would change day to day.
You know, in those like stereotypical science movies, there's the guy with the whiteboard that has the 55-foot long equation on it.
Mhm.
You go in and you plug Tony Todd's name in there instead of Bobby Rhodes, and it changes the whole thing. But then he goes back the next day. That's what it is. That's exactly what it's that unstoppable force meeting immovable object paradox.
It's weird. It's one of those things where like it's like the word radar where it's like it's spelled the same way front and back, but
Yeah,
for some reason one way it's Tony Todd and the other way it's Bobby Rhodes and you're like that shouldn't make sense.
but thanks to John Wick lore building, it does make sense.
Yeah. But no, see, overall, at the end of the day, I have to admit, even though that this movie is barely there, I mean, there was effort made. We made the joke about Silent Night, Deadly Night. Because I'm
Oh,
like, oh, there
good.
was the Deadly Night, said Deadly Night, or Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 standoff right there. The lazy, they just stand in front of each other, and then they move on. It's like they lit the scene, all right? They properly lit the scene.
Your
And
justification there killed me.
and to be fair, the guy who got stabbed really fucking like he gave a proper death versus Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, dude just fucking falls over.
And he might as well have just fallen over. He went ugh,
He just
and
fell
then fell
asleep.
over.
Fell asleep. Like he just tipped over drunk while and they're like they happened to film it and they're like, yeah, just put that in the movie. Uh
I'm not reshooting it.
no. But there was some attempts made at something. Clearly like I'm chalking this up to there's a famous I don't want to say it's a saying because that means it's like short and has uh the same words applied each time, which is not that. But it's kind of this thing where um anybody that you see as a comedian, like who's trying to be a stand-up comedian, and actually is gonna follow through with it till the end. Like they're not just gonna try it for a week and then say fuck it. Every great comedian that you know today, when they first started, those first few sets, you're not seeing them. All you're seeing are the other comedians that inspired them. Eventually, they will become themselves.
Yep.
And I'm gonna say that this movie, somebody really liked Halloween. And I'm like I'm like it's a competently made movie. There are rookie mistakes, like I said, with the knife getting kicked out of the hand, and then there's rookie mistakes, but I mean that's nothing like egregious, where you're like, okay, that shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? I'm like these are things you expect to see somebody's early outings. Um, so I'm gonna chalk it up to that. Overall, I honestly wanted to give it a 2.5, but I don't know if it's quite there yet. It has aspirations of 2.5, but I think I'll settle with just a 2.
Slumber Party Massacre, I think we called a blueprint movie where you could drag and drop where you needed to, and you had something competent, you had something entertaining, and it worked. Finding out that this movie's in the same realm as that makes me want to look at it like it, and that's a silly mistake because this is a passion project in a way. I think back to Halloween and all of the slasher tropes kind of rolled into one thing with now telepathy because we're at that part of the 80s where everybody has to
Yeah.
be fucking telepathic. Not that I have a problem with it because it's entertaining, but it's too
Sometimes
star
it works.
entertaining.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, in this case too, I think it's more funny that Halloween 5 legitimately pulled the plot directly from it. And it's now glaring me right in the eyes and saying, "Hey, Halloween 5 was already pretty bad. How can we make it worse?" Oh, it's a ripoff of a movie that is a ripoff. That's
Now,
impressive.
let me turn what you just said, play it out exactly like that. 'Cause I mean, pretty much it is. But let me flip it around and make that a positive. Say you're the guy that made this movie, and you're like, I love Halloween. And then years later, you watch Halloween 5, and you're like, holy shit. Like, we're frowning on it, but at the same time, for that guy, that was his fucking Christmas.
For Carol Smith, who directed it, and I don't know who wrote it, okay, that's their. Or, well, I would say that's their lawsuit, but we'll we'll discuss we'll discuss Halloween 5 at one point. Long story short, the director threw out the original script while he was in a meeting room with Mustafa Akkad and said, "I can do it better," which is a red flag if you're ever doing a movie and somebody does that. But with that said, I still love Halloween 5 for all of its faults. This though, this is it's not a blueprint for it, but this is a mishmash of ideas. Some work, some don't. And at the end of the day though, it's a crisp 74-minute runtime that actually fuck it. It's a 72-minute runtime with the credits or without the credits. So, you rake in at just over an hour and you're in and out and you're done. You could watch this. You could watch all of the Sorority House Massacre movies and all of the Slumber Party House Massacre movies in a single night, and you probably feel pretty satisfied. So, yeah, 2 stars, nothing special, but there's glimmers of hope in it.
It's a competent, well put together. Like, if this was my first movie, I would definitely show it off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I I mean, fuck, if I made things, I'd probably show it off and be like, here, kids, don't do what we did.
Yeah. You want to know that time that dad got really fucked up and then maxed out mom's credit card and she was pissed at me for 2 years?
That's why.
I've got documented evidence.
You know what? I would put this up there if I had to compare it to a shot on video movie because it is kind of schlocky in that sense, but not as sleazy. It's not anywhere near as sleazy. I would put this up there with Boarding House though, because of a lot of the elements of it are like that. The only difference is the director's not standing outside of your shower with a video camera for 20 minutes.
That's the thing. That's what's funny is that when you see the title and you see the poster for this, I'm thinking Boarding House. I'm like, that's what we're getting into. But no, it was very dare I say that they restrained themselves.
They did.
They're
Now,
just like it's like we know what it is. All right, let's get on with it. All right.
now, Ian, go look at the poster for the second and the third Sorority House Massacre movie, and let's see how your opinion feels at that point.
Oh, look at that John Wick cover of the cover of it. All right, there's two. Oh, all right. Yeah, two's got Skinamax in October written all over it.
Because it was. Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here. And you said the third one?
Yeah.
I'm only getting 1 and 2 coming up. Let me see. Related. More like this. Here we go. Oh, there it is. There it is. Put that in.
I think the subtitle's Hard Body.
That one's actually worse.
Yeah, they get worse.
I like the beach though. The trailer started playing. I like this beach. Anyway, these are the kind of movies that like they're easy to digest. They're like quick little stories, like just like what were the anecdotes in Reader's Digest?
Don't don't mess with Dad. He's watching his stories in the comfy chair kind of show. Yeah.
Except that I'd be really weird if like that dad was like all of his stories were just these types of movies. It's like he's in the basement with his trains.
Not to say that I haven't spent a whole day watching shit like this, but yeah, you probably shouldn't advertise it.
Yeah. But no, it was surprisingly decent though. Like I said, like I went in expecting a lot less, and what I got, I'm like, yeah, it's actually not bad, not a bad little movie. Not gonna win any awards, but like I said, if it was somebody's first movie or first outing, I'm like, then they did damn good. If this is somebody's magnum opus, though, then we're gonna have to have a way different conversation. But you know,
I have to pose a question to you
Hmm.
because it's very difficult to get the entire trilogy in a physical media release form. Hell, I think it's hard to stream other than the first one. Would you be interested in rounding out the Sorority House and the Slumber Party Massacre trilogies?
um, I mean, I know that eventually down the line I will watch these movies regardless, so I'm not gonna say that I would mind it. I would be more willing to bump them up the list if at least the next one or so was made by the same people. If it's not made by the same people, we'll still watch it, but I'm not going to prioritize it. I would like to see, because like I said, if this was somebody's first outing, I would like to see some progression.
It's not same director. I think it's the same production house. I think they're all three Roger Corman movies in some way. So that's actually a good thing because
You know,
we like Roger. But second and third one's by the Chopping Mall guy. And Beastmaster, or not Beastmaster, Deathstalker.
oh boy, Deathstalker. Okay.
What else did Wynorski do? He's done he's got a he's got an interesting filmography. When you get all the softcore porn out of there, there's actually some good gold, you know.
When you get past the smut.
And and once again, I reclaim my title as Smut King.
But I think that's about all I got to say on it. Like you said, it was a quick movie, but I mean, like I said, it was surprisingly it was not bad, not bad little movie. Do we
I'm
got? Oh, good.
I'm glad that it actually worked out that um it kind of just came to us that hey, we ended on the 24 hours of Halloween, and then we had the Sorority Sunday Redux, and it just kind of worked. So in us losing power for Sorority Sunday originally, it worked out because we got to watch this. So I'm happy with that.
Dare I say, it subverted my expectations. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want?
Unless it's Halloween, apparently. But
Yeah.
that's a conversation for a different YouTube video.
But do we got anything going on? I can't remember. What do we do? Yay,
I
yay.
wanted to do the John Woo thing tonight, but I just realized that those movies are like 2 hours long, and it is already 9 o'clock here, and I need to kind of try to rest up a little bit. So I think we're gonna take a pause on the movie tonight. Potentially tomorrow. We might do something after birthday festivities end tomorrow. Not mine, others. Otherwise, I'm thinking Saturday night I might have something special planned. Haven't decided
Oh,
exactly what it's going to be yet, but we had a mail day during the middle of the month, and I didn't really get to elaborate on what came. So it might be a game wildcard night for us.
ooh. Nice. All right. All right. Well, I dig it. I dig it. All right. Well, we will look forward to that. We should, barring any storm-related activity, we
My
should,
turn.
yeah, um, we should be back Wednesday, normal time, and I'm sure we'll figure out what we're doing before we actually do it.
I don't. I don't really have anything for. We have something for the week after next. If, as long as we can locate it, it's something very very special for Thanksgiving. Also, I forgot to mention it earlier. Sorority House Massacre is a Memorial Day slasher, so we have a Memorial Day movie now. Um, but yeah, maybe what I show Saturday might spark something, or tomorrow,
Okay.
whenever we decide to do it. So, hang out at our Discord or our Twitter for more info on that. Um, I will. I'll probably. I might make the announcement on Twitter. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Interesting.
Um,
Mhm.
but also, Ian, you got that YouTube link?
I will in 2 seconds. Wah-bah-bah-bah-bah-bah.
Because I think if you haven't already gone over there and subscribed to us, you should. Uh, more content will be coming there. Because me and Ian have figured out that filming one-offs for YouTube is actually a hell of a lot of fun, and also long-winded sometimes, but that's okay. So
Every week it's gaining more traction. More and more reviews. I like.
and
We're snail pacing our way to a proper URL. But hey, at least it's moving. That's the way I look at it.
it's moving, and also it's a lot handier than using Twitch's interface. No offense, Twitch, the to rewatch stuff since
Yeah.
it goes bye bye in about 2 weeks. So
All right. Well, until next time then, that's all I got. Gabe, is that all you got, sir?
that's all I got.
Cool. Until next time, later.